Well, we're joined today by Mark Nussbaum from Signature Consultants, Chief Operating Officer there. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing okay, doing all right. So, Mark, thank you so much for making the time. And, I know we started to talk about this before the interview started that, what I'm seeing more and more of, and what I'd love to talk to you about today is how to perform well at work while you're dealing with the personal stress and, the professional stress that COVID is bringing to our lives today. And I was curious first how you're doing and sort of some of the stresses that you're dealing with that you're looking to combat while you're doing your day job.
So let me do the context of some of the stresses. We try and help people find jobs primarily in technology and the finance sectors. Well, in the last 2 weeks, 10 million people have declared for first-time unemployment benefits.
Right.
So there's a tremendous amount of stress there while you're worried about your family, your friends, the people you work with, the people who work for you. It's just none of us are immune from those stresses. To me, the key has been, and I am sleeping well and eating well and not having panic attacks. The key has been a willingness to accept and acknowledge my feelings to begin with. I don't think necessarily a crisis or a high stress situation always calls for different coping mechanisms.
Right.
So to me, it all starts with, can you take your own temperature and are you willing to look at what it is and what you're feeling? And to me, and I'm counseling my friends and the people I work with, let's start there with knowing where you are without judging it. No judgment on it. Just let's make sure we're starting each day, each hour, each 15 minutes with how am I feeling? And
Yeah.
so that's where I start.
And, how would you, this might seem like a nuanced question, but how do you recommend that people actually get to the point where they can start to acknowledge those feelings? Because I know for me, as someone that's running 100 miles an hour every day, it's hard for me to do that, especially when I wrap my day at night and then all I want to do is kind of relax and just take my mind off of things.
I think it's a tremendous question. And I think a lot of it has to do with stopping. When I say stopping, I mean your physiology and just literally breathing. I was on a call the other day, like you were saying, back to back to back. You're going 12 hours. It's one new problem after the next. And I said to somebody as I answered the phone, hey, just let's take a breath for a second. And then
Yeah.
and they started going, I thought it was just an expression. I go, well, it's an expression that has meaning. And
Right.
it doesn't hurt to just stop and get control of your breathing for 1 second and stop moving your body. And next thing you know, you can hear yourself and you can feel yourself. And I know these things sound simple and they're everywhere, but the question isn't what to do so often, it's the willingness to do it. And to
Yeah.
think you have 30 seconds for that. So that's how I see it. It's as simple as that for me.
Yeah. That's a good point. Let me ask you, how have I mean, I assume your client sounds stressed on the phone with everything going on, but I think also another sort of element of this is that a lot of people, especially in the client service business, or even if they're dealing with bosses, let's say, um, a lot of their pressure or stresses comes from the pressure that those two parties are kind of putting on them, where they might feel like they have a hard time, you know, dedicating to managing the stresses we're talking about right now when they feel like they have to look 100% or sound 100% to their clients or their peers or whoever. So how would you recommend that somebody maybe navigates that so that they can, you know, I don't know if the right way of thinking about this is kind of like expressing yourself to your client, but trying to figure out a way to kind of manage the situation so it's beneficial for you too.
And Justin, I think again, I think your questions are outstanding. The things that people are really facing. Um, so much of what you get from life is what you bring to it. So when I'm talking to people, even in this environment, I'm not going right to the matter that we're on the phone or on the Zoom call or the FaceTime call for. I'm still taking time to interact human to human like you normally would. And then that tends to naturally make room then for if there's anxiety or anger or depression or whatever emotions on that side of the spectrum are coming through. Like, don't forget, much like you and I when we started, we just started talking. How are you? Where are you?
Yeah.
You know, you can go a lot faster sometimes when you go slow. If you start to just dive into the substance, there's all those obstacles in the conversation. You take 30 seconds to talk to somebody just as a person, there's plenty of, you're going to move through the other stuff faster anyways. So
Yeah.
again, I think there's just some simple rules. Be a human. Say
Yeah.
hello, see how they're doing. And if you're racing into it, they're going to race into it. And now nobody's going to have room. So that's my, you know, to me, I'm just doing the stuff that my grandmother and my kindergarten teacher probably would have told me. Be
Yeah.
nice, share, don't touch anyone, you know, take a
Yeah.
nap, take a breath. I think the things that are tried and true over a long period of time are more true now.
Yeah. So in terms of where we at, I'm curious what your thoughts are in terms of where we're at with jobs. And, obviously the news was horrible last week. Um, Curious what your thoughts are in terms of where you see the job market going in the next maybe 3 months, let's say. And I know that's very dependent on a lot of factors, but
Right. I think, like Dr. Fauci tells us, the timetable is being set by the virus more than us. I think you have to put your mind in a place to understand that what short term and long term really mean. In other words, America's going to be fine. I'll tell you the advice I would give people is everybody tends to talk about morale as a team concept, but morale can be an individual concept, and morale has three clear components: discipline, confidence, and enthusiasm. And they tend to work in that order. So for the people who are challenged finding work now, don't lose your discipline. Get up in the morning, do the pursuit you can, keep your network alive, talk to people, try and expand your network. That discipline of a daily routine, Monday through Friday, will build a certain amount of confidence. Enthusiasm is going to be hard to come by. I get that. But I'm just saying, don't lose your personal discipline about getting up in the morning, working your network, reaching out to people, checking the job boards, and being engaged. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying once you lose that discipline, it gets much, much more difficult.
yeah.
And keep your personal morale up much better with discipline, which will breed a certain amount of confidence.
Right.
To me, that would be my number one piece of
And,
advice.
and so I know we talked a little earlier about slowing down to make yourself feel healthier. Are there any other specific recommendations you would have for keeping morale up? Because I think that ultimately is the crux of what's going on right now, is that people feel defeated. And I mean, I can say for myself, sometimes, during the day, I feel defeated because of, a variety of things that are going on in the world right now. Um, and I think we all suffer from that from time to time, but I'm sure it's heightened right now with everything going on.
But I'm not saying it's easy, so I'll try and answer. And because I can explain it doesn't diminish the difficulty. You know, your physiology in many ways is the best way to control your emotional state. So in that feeling defeated, the chin goes down, the shoulders slump forward, your posture decreases. My first move is to stand up, smile, and do that simple thing that, because when I change my physiology, I begin to change my mood. And then
Yeah.
I ask myself one question: is feeling this way going to help me? And the answer is no. Okay, so what do I got to do at this moment to change it? And then I start to move a little, and then I take one action. All right, what's one thing I can do now to advance my cause? So I'm changing my physiology. I'm not sitting in a slumped position, and I'm taking one action.
Right. Right. I like it. This has been great. Mark, can you share where people can go to learn more about the company and you?
It'd be my pleasure. You can find us at sigconsult.com, sigconsult.com. And we're all over the country and doing our best to find technologists and financial people working this tough time. And I really appreciate the chance to talk to you today, Justin. It was a pleasure.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Mark. These insights have been very valuable, so really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks.